Welcome. Please get comfortable. Breathe into your heart. Feel into your heart's intention. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and tune in to what your heart and your soul are asking of you and for you. In this moment, what is your heart's desire, your heart's intention, your soul's longing? What is the truth of your being asking for or of you in this moment? Let's create a moment to tune into that together. Take a deep breath in. Relax. I'm going to invite you to call all of your energy to be present for this class. And again, you can leave anytime you want. If you have something going on, you can just feel free. This is an open space for you to come and go. And the way to get most out of it is being fully present. So if you can, bring all of your attention here into this moment, ground into your body. Let go of the thoughts of the past or the future and come into the truth of this moment. Breathing and feeling your connection to the earth below you. Feeling that Earth Star chakra point. An inch, a few inches, or even some people say 18 inches into the earth, there's this place where we can ground, feel that grounding anchor in the earth. Bring that earth energy up into your body, filling your body with that rich earth energy and connecting up through your crown all the way up. Inviting your higher self to ground down and enter into your field, enter into your body, enter into your heart. As you feel that mergence of that earth and that higher self source energy into your heart, let's create a sacred space together. Let's visualize there's a platform of light below us and a temple of light surrounding us. A temple of light around us. As we anchor in a pillar of light to set the space for our class today, from the highest plane of source to the very core of the earth, we call upon the Spirit of God, Source, Holy Father, Holy Mother. We call upon our higher selves. And we ask that if there are any interferences or distortions, that they be removed from this temple space now. And if you're just arriving, breathe into your heart and feel into your heart's intention. What does your soul want for you and from you? And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. And if a few of you can share what came to you in that brief meditation, what was the heart's intention? What is your heart and your soul asking of you and want for you in this moment? It would be lovely to hear some intentions that you have at this moment, because this class, my intention is to serve and bring through some teachings, some insights, and we'll even do an activation that can support you. However, the more that you engage and share with me what's alive, the more that I can customize it specifically for your heart's intention. So at any point, I'm inviting you to write in the chat what's come through. What do you want to break through? What do you want to call in as far as your voice, your expression, your soul? I think it's really important that your voice is important to me, that your voice is heard if you want to share. And with that said, I have so much that I prepared that's too much for this course. And I want to just intro and say that I will share the pieces that I can. A lot of this comes from the work that I've put together over the last decade of coaching and working with people, that I put together in a program called Voice of the Magi, which I will speak about at the end, but I'll create a pause. So those that don't want to hear about the program, you can leave at that point and just get the jewels that benefit you from the complimentary class. And those that want to hear more about Voice of the Magi can stay on. So that's just an intro to that. Also, please take what you like and leave the rest, meaning some of my perspectives are from my experience. So I just want you to have the filter where you are willing to receive truth, even if it's uncomfortable or goes against a perspective that you hold, if it's really aligned for you. At the same time, filter what maybe isn't in for your highest and best. So I'm just going to read through some of these intentions that are coming in now to really plug into our collective field. And we'll go into an activation in a little bit that will, take some of this to heart and to see what we can bring together for everyone here. So we have awakening, aligning to my soul's unique path, embodiment and expression of my true essence, seeking alignment with my organic mission, clean and clear my field, break through abundance blocks. Wisest avatar self, highest embodiment of true source self, deepening into self-love and self-confidence in the words that come into my mind, learning and evolving and growing to align with my mission. Deep drop into the feminine, deep presence to clarify and refine my voice, to step into more of my creativity at the level of the creative arts. I'm an artist of life, creating new systems in the social world, and I want to be singing more and making more music. Align my voice to my soul, love myself in my voice expression, opening myself to sacred relationship. Listen deeply to spirit's songs that want to come through me, expression of feelings without having an emotional roller coaster. To trust, to surrender, and to open up to receive the highest guidance, to share my gifts with the grace of God and the beloved within. Hallelujah. This makes me feel so good to read these intentions because it connects my heart to your heart's intention, which allows my heart to open and have more fuel to share and to serve, as well as when we go into our activation, what to bring through. So first of all, I wanted to say thank you for your willingness to share. Thank you for showing up. And I have prepared so much, and I want to find the balance of sharing what I prepared and being in the moment, because often being in the moment is what brings the greatest jewels, is to have a breakthrough. And so to get myself in the spirit of that space, I'm going to share my audio and have just a couple minutes of spoken word off the top. That will help get me, that's what gets me in the moment to be of service. So can everyone hear that music? Okay. But we all have our preferred ways we bring our voice into the world. This is one of mine. So as I tune into my heart, I realize that the only way I can serve is if I get to the place where I need nothing from you. Absolutely no validation. I don't want anything from you because I am connected to the source of all life, infinite wellspring of good and joy, that which fills me. All my inner voids and all my wounds are healed in the moment of self-recognition and surrender to that place that exists in the heart of my being. I'm willing to face my pain. I'd rather die than give power to the shadow voices of doubt that try to steal the vitality of my service. I am committed. I am all in. My decision has become a commitment and a conviction to live, to give my gifts to you. I break through shackles and limitations of my mind. My inner child is held in the embrace of my warrior spirit. My inner king surrenders fearlessly to the grace of God that I may hear the mantle of my service. My purpose, my worth is quenched, filled again. And I forgive all those that have betrayed me in the past. This is the only way I can give. And so I open my heart to you. Because I die to the truth of who we are together, of the true essence of remembrance. Heaven said, we are, heaven said, to this planet, remember why you came. Heaven said, to this planet, I will do whatever it takes. Again and again, open myself to the voice. Open myself to the true voice. Do you feel me? Are you willing to do the same for yourself? Commitment. Are you all in for your voice? It's the only way to break through the barrier of these collective, ancestral, and personal pains. Full, absolute, deep, mighty commitment. I'm all in. And I'm going to invite you to stay, not for me, but for yourself, for your God presence, and for the legacy of life and power reclaimed. In this moment, it's up to you to choose. I make that an invitation in. Okay, so that was my divine masculine, my masculine energy coming through. I want to share something a little bit more soft to provide a balance of truth here. So let me just do one more, and then we're going to start with some content and some shares. Let's see. So what's coming through for me to share is how important it is to remember the innocence, the sacred treasure, the being that you have always been, how loved you are, how cherished you are, from above, from below, from within. Do you remember your sacred innocence? It's never been tainted, never, ever, ever been caged in. You are free under natural law. You are loved, you are pure. I invite you to be raw with how you feel. Raw with how you feel. Face the darkness to heal and peel the layers back until you remember you are already intact and whole and free. Love, can you feel the agony and pain? Because behind it is freedom. It's the power of your innocence, uncaged. Blaze this path with me. From the sacred heart of your inner divinity, let's create a collective treasury of alchemy to burn the barriers down. To remember we are endowed So we all can stand proud to be one with divinity, one with the keys to freedom, keys to the kingdom, anchoring it down for all life to receive them, entering again to the paradise. You all remember you are eternal life, and your voice is your essence. Your voice is that ever-present soul quintessence that comes through when you let yourself flow from your inner wholeness. You are golden. You are on it. I'm being honest. You are beautifully flawless in the depth of your core, so own that. You are pure innocence. The innocence of our being. For your inner greatness to be touched and reclaimed, gratitude is the means, and the final rite of passage is your innocence reclaimed. I don't care what any of you have done in the past or your ancestors have done. You have always and will always be loved and forgiven and embraced in the very heart of Holy Father, Holy Mother creation. So this work of soul voice reclamation is about dissolving all the barriers and blocks around who we always have been. So we'll get more into that. Thank you for letting me share my expression and my voice. I appreciate all of you being here. And I want to open up now to, to some basic teachings. And the way that I teach is we'll teach on an outer level, we'll teach on the inner level, and then we'll get to some of this, the secret or the mystical levels. So on an outer level, expressing your true voice correlates directly with the level of success and failure in many aspects of life. So from an outer level, studies show that the words that you speak, they may only count as 5 to 8% as what makes you seem believable to someone else. Some studies show that 50% is physiology, and the other 38% is tonality. So the sound in your voice. And what hasn't been studied yet fully is how energetic transmission impacts people. So the essence of where you speak from, because I have my 3D incarnate identity here, that much of the masses are really still contained in this 3D perspective of who they are. And then as we enter into more of our spiritual growth, we get connected beyond to our soul and to higher dimensional aspects of us that carry more soul wisdom and quintessence. And we learn in a moment to be able to speak from that place and carry a transmission of our deeper energy. And then beyond that, we can break beyond and access and do the work of soul embodiment to bring our higher dimensional gifts and our higher dimensional voice into our incarnate voice, which allows us to basically ground higher dimensional essence into our being, and our incarnate identity merges more with our divine personality. Now, we've become, a nation or a world that really is obsessed with on what people are saying instead of on the frequency that's behind it and where we speak from. And so where we are being and how that emerges as a sound through our voice affects us and the listener. So in integrating more and speaking from your true voice, which we'll go into how I define that, improves the way you feel about yourself. It uplifts other people. It enhances the way other people feel and connect to you. And it helps match what you think you're putting out there and what your audience is perceiving as well. So on an outer level, for the ego mind, doing this work will boost your impact, your confidence, your self-esteem, your ability to bring in prosperity, your charisma, because the mind, body, and voice and soul come together behind a message. And so the reason I share that is because sometimes we have to understand what is the ego has to understand what is the purpose of doing this hard soul embodiment work. Like, what is it really going to give me? It's going to give you everything you could ever want. And now, acquiring these voice skills, meaning the ability to tune in on in a moment and speak on from your heart and your soul on command, it will give you the ability to command attention, loyalty, enthusiasm of just about any audience, whether it's one person or a huge crowd. But there's something about beyond all of that. People out there, including myself and other voice teachers, can teach you how to focus, to align your mind, your body, and your soul, and get that expression to come through certain practices that will let you magnetize support for your ideas. It'll let you keep your teams motivated and help you achieve the success that you deserve in your chosen field. But for me, my heart, what's really important for me and what I want for others, which a lot of you have tapped into and experienced on a deep level, is the consistent, integral fulfillment of knowing your true voice so intimately, where you feel free to live and express from your sacred truth. And it creates a space of safety and fulfillment and freedom that's more valuable than anything else. Now, I spent almost a decade training healers in theta healing and in other modalities, and I moved to Encinitas, and I did executive coaching for quite a few multimillionaires in the space of heart-based entrepreneurship. And I'm going to tell you, when I had great success in Japan, I was not fulfilled. When these multimillionaires that I coached did the work with me, it was revealed that no matter, nothing in the external can bring the fulfillment. And so all of us, if we haven't already, come to a place where we realize that, wow, I've been conditioned so much of my life to pursue something externally that would bring me fulfillment. And we have to come to the disillusionment that, unfortunately, that's not the truth. And then we can really begin the path of unlearning so much. Now, this is what I believe. I believe that your voice is brilliance. Your voice is brilliance itself. Your voice, or let's say contained within your voice, is unlimited creative potential, because your voice, your true voice, is connected to the timeless knowing that arises from the core of your being. Your true voice is connected to that dynamic creative intelligence that orchestrates human evolution. Your voice is that sacred essence and link between humanity, Mother Nature, God, Source. Your voice is the unlimited real you, your true sacred essence. Now, sometimes it's hard for a part of the mind to say, wait, this is my voice. But if we go into the voice, we find that the voice is what emanates. Our voice is actually this engine source, the immovable spot at the core of our being from which everything emerges. And it is a honing device for thriving. It's programmed into us by life's creative intelligence that when we follow our true voice, it will lead to thriving on all levels. However, our true voice waits until we are ready, and it speaks through our state of being. So we have to decide whether we're choosing to give power to our true voice or not, because there's so many limiting beliefs and other voices that come in that we have to identify and acknowledge. And I'll be speaking about what I mean by that. And so someone asked me, like, why do some people have expression blocks and some people don't? And without being insensitive, I basically said bluntly, because people allow those blocks to be there, because they have not chosen with authority to know their true voice. They've given their power to doubts and shadows, period. However, I do want to be sensitive to real traumas that have occurred in our life, in our ancestors and collective, that are impacting us, that we have to identify. And at the same time, specify that it's not the actual trauma that is to blame, but it's how we created protective mechanisms and belief systems in reaction to the trauma, and how we're still attached, or an aspect of us is attached to a story about that trauma or the trauma itself. So briefly, somewhere along the journey, we've all had some traumas. And in that moment of trauma, an aspect of us may have given our power away to fear, or had something, we allowed something to be taken. So in that moment, there's still power to be reclaimed in the spirit of sovereignty and truth. And like I said, it's not the actual trauma, but it's the overlays created around it. So people and unintegrated, unhealed aspects are afraid of death. There's resistance to going through the process of ego transformation, which includes death to certain aspects of self. So when a traumatic moment of attack happens and it results in us giving our power away, in reaction to the trauma, we create unconsciously a protector or an overlay aspect that has certain belief systems to protect that from happening again. Part of us may be afraid to experience the original trauma, and we create metaframes or limiting perspectives that we view the world. And what I want to talk about those limiting metaframes, because this is what keeps us from having access to our true voice. These frames that we unconsciously have given power to. So I'm going to invite you to think about that. I'm going to give a quick example and then speak about how these limiting frames get created. When I was 8 years old, one of my parents left. The other parent stayed, but was so unstable that they were suicidal. And so something had kind of taken over them at times. You could call it a demonic energy, a wound that got taken over. So little Lukaija, little 8-year-old, said, oh my God, if I speak my voice, this parent of mine might hurt themselves. So I repressed my feelings and my anger, and in compromising my truth, I created a overlay, a protector, a nice boy protector. Okay, so this nice boy voice is like, okay, I'll do what you say. That's not my true voice. My true voice is speaking my truth. My true voice would have said, this is not okay. You need to take responsibility, because as a child, I'm not meant to be your caretaker. That's what my true voice would have said. But at a young age, fear came in. I listened to the fear, and I allowed myself to give my power away. Now, this is what happens. However, as an adult, I had to realize that I'm looking for so much of my life. I was looking through this perspective of this limiting metaframe, that if I speak my truth, someone will be hurt, or I will be hurt, or I will be abandoned. Okay. And so this is just one example of how it's created. So as an adult, I have to go back. I have to bring healing to that trauma. I have to pull the belief systems connected to this overlay. And I have to go through an ego death where this nice boy dies and transforms and integrates and transcends through my heart back into my true identity and personality. So these are 6 steps how these limiting metaframes get created. Step 1, they divide our minds with dilemma-based assumptions that reinforce our implicit beliefs in separation, lack, martyrdom, or sacrifice. So my mind was divided with this dilemma. If I speak my truth, this will happen. And so I must martyr myself. Okay, so step 1, just you can think about how that might have happened in your life, and take some notes if you're tracking moments. Step 2, escape accountability for this inner choice by blaming people, circumstances, and conditions. Okay, well, it's my mom's fault, or it's that demon that possessed my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my lover. This is what happens is we put blame outwards. Step 3, forget our true voice in exchange for a fictional belief identity. generated to help us survive in a scary world. Suddenly, I forget what my true voice would said, and now I'm speaking from the nice boy. Okay, step 4, enforce obedience to our limiting beliefs that continue to more deeply anchor in fear and keep the real problem hidden. Oh, I better keep doing this way. Unconsciously, it's having us go back to be obedient to that shadow voice. Step 5, negate our freedom to choose again by bearing awareness of the original choice from step 1 that spurred the cycle. Suddenly I forget I ever made the choice to martyr myself, and I'm just living my life. Step 6, doubt our own self-worth, bypass our feelings and responsibilities, ignore our growing inner voice, and repeat. So this is just a brief synopsis of how these limiting metaframes and shadow voices or protectors, overlays, get created, and how our true voice goes into hiding. And instead of living from our inner truth and wholeness, how we unconsciously allow ourselves to compromise our truth. And so ultimately, self-awareness is key so that we do not believe the lies and assumptions from these limiting metaframes, shadow aspects, overlays, and we keep dissolving them and creating space for the emergence of our true voice. And so this is one level of the incarnate identity, soul level imprints that we have to resolve. Then we have parental ancestral imprints, we have collective imprints, and we have distortions coming from the dissonant forces, dark forces, whatever you want to call them. And so I just gave one example of a limiting metaframe or shadow aspect. And I have some notes here that I want to share so that you can think of that might give some more insights into other specific shadow voices, you could call them, that block your true voice. So I'll just give a few examples that I've taken note of what we've needed to dissolve. The last time that I ran Voice of the Magi, I did a lot of analysis in what were the shadow voices coming up in the client. So I'm just going to read some of them. A shadow voice that controls us through our desire for revenge. When we obey them, we attack those who incite our anger and end up feeling guilty. Or when we react against this aspect, we harbor unresolved grievances that destroy our peace and eat away at us like an emotional cancer. So again, some of these you guys don't have. These are just general. Some of them have been repressed. So part of this work is bringing any aspect that's been repressed from in our unconscious and having the courage to bring the illumination ray, to be honest with ourselves of what's there so we can clear out the cave of our unconscious. So I'm starting with some more intense ones that aren't as common, but here's another one. An embarrassed aspect that controls us through our fear of not being accepted for who we are. When we obey them, we sell out on ourselves by hiding and repressing things about us that don't conform to social expectations. Or when we react against this aspect, we intentionally rebel against norms and shamelessly flout conventions only to alienate ourselves and become locked by our own rebellion. Another aspect controls us through fear of evil. We constantly look for evil in the world, becoming paranoid, self-righteous, or intolerant towards the big them we've chosen to project upon. When we react against this, we fall into denial, failing to recognize evil is existing, and we can get lost in a false light, love and light paradigm. Another aspect, control us through the fear of being passive aggressive, where we don't want to deal with conflict directly. When we obey this aspect, we communicate our upsets indirectly through passive aggressive snipes involving sarcasm, gossip, backhanded compliments. Or when we react against this aspect, we express ourselves with a brutal honesty that is offensive and can alienate us further. Then we have aspects that control us through the fear of scarcity, promising us freedom by castrating our own conscience. Or we have aspects that control us through fear of being socially awkward or ineffective, fear of being ignored and or belittled. Sometimes we have aspects that control us through our desire to influence, the levers of power without full transparency, our desire for approval and admiration, our desire to be respected by others, our desire to get what we want without standing for our value, our desire to seem special and magnificent, our desire to escape our guilty consciousness without facing the music, our desire to win by not losing, our desire to get rewards of success without doing the hard work, our fear of lack, control us through our guilt and our fear of death, through our fear of both success and failure, through our fear of vulnerability, through our desire to avoid taking responsibility for our lives, our desire to escape our guilty conscience, our desire to win by not losing, our desire to get rewards without doing the hard work. Oh, I said that one already, but just a couple more. Another example is an aspect that controls us through our fear of loss. Oh, I said that one already, but when we obey this aspect, we defend situations and relationships that limit us in fear that we will never find anything better. Or when we react against this aspect, we make impulsive and foolish decisions to escape limiting or frustrating circumstances. Or the aspect that wants approval. So basically, I have all these notes. I can go on and on, but there's so much to cover. The importance of what I'm sharing is that these are aspects that get created oftentimes in childhood in moments that we didn't get the illuminated Holy Father and Holy Mother love and attention and approval that we wanted. It created a void within us. And we were conditioned from an early age to somehow seek approval externally. And through these wounds and overlays that I just mentioned, it creates opportunities and situations where we respond to these shadow aspects instead of our true voice. So I want to speak briefly on the parental imprint. There's a quote from Carl Jung that I think is important that says, "Nothing exerts more influence on the psychology of the child than the unlived life of the parent. This unlived life of the parent is the innocence they failed to recover, the dreams they gave up for a path of compromise." So unconsciously, we become shaped by this legacy in profound ways, meaning doubt is passed on generationally, as well as the tendency to compromise our true voice for survival, for external validation, for social status or comfort or whatever. So many of us have been entrained to live lives of quiet desperation that could have easily been lives of joyful exuberance. So on a parental and even ancestral level, we need to face and dissolve this generational doubt and trust that we can thrive following our true voice without unhealthy compromise. And then we can face the ancestral bloodline where we may have suppressions in our bloodline where our ancestors were suppressed, were defeated, were tortured, had their land stolen, etc. And it created potential belief systems and blocks on an ancestral level. And that's where quantum healing, theta healing, and different kind of healing modalities can come into place to dissolve some of these ancestral limitations. And we get to a collective level. Many of us were raised, like I said, in a family and culture that unfortunately encouraged us to sacrifice our true voice and pursue a path of survival and validation, misplaced ambition. So in the first phase of doing this work in my 20s, I came to this place where I was like, wow, my innocence was lost and the world has socialized me to become a responsible adult. And I've tuned out my true voice and I'm locked in this limiting meta frame and I have to get out of it. However, this mindset has conditioned me to live through a lens of separation and fear. And therefore, I'm trying to exceed through the rules of others. I projected my power out into the world, and I blocked my heart with scarcity thinking. And I've begun to chase after things based on the belief they will make me feel complete and free. And this frame lock is what keeps most people from discovering what they truly want in life. And it anchors people in approval thinking, groupthink, and reactive rebellion. Without the inspired vision resonating on a core level, we'll spend our lives attracting more and more of what we don't want as our passions wither. And so I want to speak about that because it's so important, because there's ways that I've seen how even up till recently, and even now, I'm not saying I'm perfect. There's always layers to, in fact, I'm not perfect. I have many aspects I'm still working on. But the point is, I'm so committed to breaking through this. And this is a spark in me that I know all of you have your masteries in different levels, and we all can share our gifts. And the one thing that I want to transmit today is that spark, no matter how committed you are, to go an extra oomph for yourself, because people locked in the limiting metaframes of fear or lack frame authority as external. So unconsciously, they might not see it, but on some level, a part of them believes that the power to create their lives exists out of their sphere of control. So they attempt to create inner freedom and security through external accomplishment, which doesn't work. And because anytime we start a project or anything from a premise of lack, no matter what it is, no amount of money, social proof could ever make us feel whole. And so the levers of freedom are internal, and they only reveal themselves when we break through this fear-based limiting metaframe. So we have to acknowledge that we've had a lifetime of social programming that's filled us with debilitating habits that have kept us from owning our mind and power in the present moment consistently. So we have acted in ways that have confirmed our limited perspective. We've created more and more evidence to justify our rightness, and this metaframe may have deepened and become unconscious. If you've ever encountered yourself or someone else that has seemed to be absolutistic, change intolerant, and even aggressive when they were confronted or light was shined on them, it's because the aspect of them is afraid of losing control. And so we have to be willing to go through the unknown of transformation, to go through the unknown of ego death, to break through these layers and reveal the true voice. One more thing is the dark force distortions. Unfortunately, and I don't want to go too much into this, we have forces on this planet that prefer a level of asleepness, shutdown, and fear to keep people from being in true love with themselves, with their divine partner, and giving their gift fully. In fact, in many timelines, there's stories of those that were brave enough to speak truth to the people. And those in power were threatened by that and persecuted and tracked these people. On another level, we have those of certain lineages that are here on this planet very specifically to bring in the codex of how to reach your highest potential here from a divine perspective, meaning divine Christic codes of information that help people in this realm reach their highest potential. And those people have been heavily targeted. And I really feel most of you, if not all of you, have some connection to this planetary service mission of bringing awakening to the collective to help move us all in the direction of the highest vision that comes from that great intelligence of God, creator, source. And there may be moments in your soul's timeline, your lifetime, so to speak, that you were targeted or tracked or traumatized because of this. So a lot of times We can do all the work we want for our inner child work, but if we haven't got to the soul level imprint, the first time our soul in our full embodiment was attacked or tortured or killed for being fully expressed, often we need to go to that moment in the causal akash and bring healing and do a timeline correction for that moment very specifically for ourselves, for our ancestry, so that we can bring a retrieval of power and safety. Because your true voice won't fully express consistently unless you've created a sacred space of safety inside of your consciousness. And so this is the importance of you considering, what are the things that make me feel unsafe? What are the things that make me feel apathetic? Where have I lost hope? Where have I not wanted to face my pain? Be really honest and create a space of safety. Now, I'll go very briefly into how I create a space of safety for myself, and how I can step into a moment of bypassing the shadow voices and dissolving them. First, we have to do our work. I had to go and I had to face my 8-year-old self. I had to break the contract of martyrdom. And I had to track where that's connected to my ancestry and to my causal soul imprint, meaning the first time that I was in my power and I was blackmailed by these forces, and I gave my power to save someone else. So I had to resolve that and clear the fear of that, the guilt of that, and all the emotional knots. And as I did that work, I learned to create an infrastructure inside of myself. And I'll briefly talk about this infrastructure. And this is what we build in Voice of the Magi, is this infrastructure, because inside of us, we have this sacred space. And just like I created with you at the beginning of this call, we created a platform of light below us, a temple of light around us, and we anchored in the pillar and we cleared out the distortions. So every one of us, we have this internal space, an internal landscape. And we need to have a couple of ingredients to create this infrastructure. First, we need to have our warrior online, or for some people, they prefer guardian. Your sacred inner guardian has to come online fully and consistently. And what that means is you have to have a vision that's been given to you by your higher self, by God's source, that is relevant and timely, that you can commit to. This brings your guardian online, because your guardian is like, I have a vision, I have a mission, and then you got to bring the commitment in. The guardian cannot be fully activated without your vision and without your commitment. The good thing about this is that you don't need to know exactly what the mission is yet. You can commit fully to your highest path of service and your highest embodiment here, your highest potential. And in that commitment, even if you don't know exactly what that is, it hasn't been revealed, it starts a process that brings forces to support you. And the more that commitment gets strengthened, the more the vision anchors. And as that vision anchors, we create and activate the kingship or the queenship, or your Christed presence, where you're willing to sacrifice all these shadow aspects and all your ego desires to be of service to your higher self, to God presence. And in that surrender, you get down the mantle of your service. And that comes with a responsibility. But that responsibility, if you take it on, it comes with an authority. And it's an inner authority, not an authority over people, but an authority over your own inner sphere, because you are fully committed to that service. And in that authority, that's where we develop the Magi essence. So we got our warrior online, we got our king, queen online, we developed the Magi. The Magi is the visionary. We're going to work a lot on clearing the blocks to vision, the part of us that actually has the ability to see multidimensionally what's happening in the field. Because I open my eyes and I see the 3D landscape. I close my eyes and I open up my pineal and I can see what's going on in the field. I can track this temple space. I can look at every individual in this and I can see what's happening with the ancestors, with their causal imprints. I can see where there's energy trying to come in and stop you. Like, this is the magi ability. And if the magi can track and can pave the path. So with the ability of vision, that we bring that vision to support the king and aspect, queen aspect, in directing the essence of expression. Then only when we feel safe enough, when we're holding that guardian space, when we're surrendered to our service, when we've anchored in that mantle, when we have authority of our field, when we have the vision, we can allow our inner artist to dance, to sing, to express, to speak poetry from the sacred innocence of our hearts. So many people try to express from that place without creating this infrastructure first. And it leads to being open to external attack, to people being jealous and sending energy, to forces that want to take you down, finding your leak and plugging right into your wound. So it's about sealing up our field. So we're not pulling on the external to fill us. We're not trying to get something, and we're serving from this place, and our inner artist, our inner voice feels ready to come out. So that's just a brief overview of that. And so we access our true voice by passing through the portal of uncertainty to embrace the present moment without preconditions. We take the leap of faith to trust in God and commit to know our voice and give our gift. And we must be, and this is the unfortunate truth, is we must be absolutely willing to facing and dissolving the shadows that block our true expression and radiance. And this is where most people in the collective, they don't want to do this work. They want it easy. They just want to express. They want to live comfortably. They don't want to face the deepest pain and darkness inside. But what if you decided to trust your true voice so implicitly that you'd sooner rather die than surrender your power to the limiting metaframe of these shadow voices and these limitations? We absolutely must commit to our voice authority with the sense of definite purpose that breaks the stranglehold of these past shadows that they have over our frame of reference. Without this deep, definite, solid commitment, we're not going to have the authority to live life on our own terms. We simply won't. I've seen it time and time again over a decade. For myself, when I lost that commitment, or my clients have lost this commitment, they're often in the momentum of unconsciousness. So we won't be able to own our goals and our vision with conviction without this, and life will become an endless series of dilemmas. And that's the unfortunate truth. And so I want to pause for a moment of reflection, because I want us to consider, is there any, and I want you to consider, to really tune in into this moment, to retrieve the sacred essence of your innocence and your hope and your faith. I want you to consider, and this may or may not be true, but just consider for your own well-being, is there any place where you have lost your will to create your highest dreams? Is there any place where you learned that a problem could not be solved, or you bought into a belief that hurt your will for the search for that freedom or whatever it was? Is there any place within you where any aspect of you is assuming that you are helpless, powerless, or not enough? It's so important that we become honest about the lies that we took on, that we believed, and that we still tell ourselves. And sometimes we have to go in deep to see that a little aspect of us believed that lie and took it on. The unfortunate thing is that when we accept compromise as a way of life, we lose our emotional vitality and the power of our expression weakens greatly. And I believe it's happened to all of us. We're all in the phase of restoring the power of our true voice. Most people on this planet get to the point of just living to gratify their senses and their, outer level ego desires. They've numbed themselves to the pain that they are living without true purpose and without their potential reached. And there's coping mechanisms. For me, I had to realize this was a layer by layer work. I thought I was free of this recently, and I had to come about a year ago, face it, there was a deeper layer. So look deeper. There's a deeper layer usually. So the deeper layer for me was around something that was told to me as a young boy that I believed, and it blocked me from doing my passion of music for so many years of my life. And it still blocks me sometimes. It blocks me because this belief says, this music thing, whatever the voice was, I believed the shadow voice. The only way for me to free that so my creativity can be free is if the power of my commitment to reach my full potential of my musicianship, which is my heart's desire, becomes absolutely stronger than all fear in the fucking universe. And that level of ferocity, I'm inviting you into to apply to break through whatever is in your way, whatever is in your true voice's way. Our true voices are calling all of us to escape the cages of compromise and sing our true song in the divine symphony of creation. Every one of you has a sacred voice. It's incredible. It's fucking phenomenal. You are incredible. I'm not saying this to toot your horn. I'm saying this because I know it. I know it in my heart. And I want you to get out there and serve at your highest capacity. And I want to receive that voice. I want to hear you speak to me from that place. I want to hear your voice. We need it. We all need you. Now, I know some of this class has been a little bit intense. I wasn't intending to bring the kind of confrontation so intensely, but it's what's coming through today because I feel we're at a crucial time where it's like, all right, guys, we need to make this timeline hop together collectively. I don't care what people choose to do. If people give into fear and they choose to, get chips and move into smart cities and give their power to AI, so be it. But we need to anchor in our power and create a network of golden civilization, of eco-village, sovereign land, of divine sanctuary for our children. We need to fucking step up. And your voice is needed. So part of me wants to apologize for being so confronting, but it's just like, this is what it is. I can't apologize. This is what it is. And for those of you that are on it, that are full fuck yes, and this is just like, all right, yeah, Lukaja, I'm there. Thank you. I commend you. And all of you that are on the edge of like, you've committed, but your conviction isn't fully there, just lean in a little bit because you're so fucking important. And it's time now. It's time now. So how do we discern between our true voice and the shadow voice? How do we get to the place where we truly trust? We trust our true voice so implicitly that we can get out of the way and let it come through. What happens when we don't trust our true voice? And unfortunately, some of us have been so traumatized by certain energies and forces that even have come through our parents and who knows what, that there's a distrust there in our true voice. So if we trust our true voice, we'll always be able to trust others appropriately without even thinking about it, meaning we'll trust them to the degree of trustworthiness they have on a spiritual plane. So if someone is showing up all sweet and beautifully spiritual, but they have an unintegrated shadow aspect that's a portal to a dark force, we'll feel that, we'll sense that, and we just won't trust them fully to let them in. But if we do not trust our true voice, we might even trust in the shadow voices that are speaking to us, and we'll find ourselves absorbed in endless problems. So we have to track that the cause, the inner cause of problems is often a darker storage of unprocessed stuff in our unconsciousness around our deepest fears. So the call here is to face and embrace the darkness of our unconscious and everything that we haven't brought illumination to, so we can clear all doubts and all mistrusts that sap our power. When we fully learn to trust our gut, meaning when our gut is in alignment with our heart, with our soul, and we trust that true voice, and we align ourselves in that, because we all have a central pillar of light that flows through our body. And for most people, it's like a thin little strand. And by doing conscious spiritual work, meditations, activations, and clearings, this channel inside of our being, of our antakarana, our central energy line, it widens, and more energy is able to flow through our body. Then our chakra system and the energy between them can start to dissolve, and we become connected. All our chakras become unified, and our three energetic centers, our dantians, from our mind and our heart and our gut, become attuned. And as we do this, this class is already going. This class will probably go up till maybe 2 hours long. So if anyone needs to go, you can keep going, but there's just a lot coming through. So one of the teachings that we'll do today briefly is bringing in our soul and our soul's voice from the higher dimensions to ground and land in our pineal gland, clearing out the space, activating higher dimensionally our vision, our magi, and anchoring that voice in, and then expanding it out, and then grounding it down into the lower dantian energetically, creating that passage, opening the field there and expanding to the vast consciousness around us and to the network of sovereignty, meaning there is a network of beings that are pillars of sovereignty in the universe, and that we can connect to this, and that enforces us and enforces our soul voice. And we bring that up into our heart. And then we merge the wisdom of our pineal gland, our upper dantian, and of our lower dantian into our heart. And we get access to more. And as we open our heart to that secret gateway where our soul and God meet inside of our heart, we bring that soul voice through and activate our higher heart and the portal of our throat to be not just a transmitter of 3D sound, but of our soul essence. And we do this consistently until we pave the pathway. And then we get to the place where on command, we can bring that soul energy into our pineal gland, down and up, and express. And so we'll do this a little later. We'll do the foundational meditation that I teach. And this meditation helped me so much to stay grounded in soul embodiment while being connected to the higher planes. Because most people who are channelers or streamers, they leave their body when they do that. They just go up and it's like, oh, what happened? But this work isn't about channeling other energies or other essence. It's about embodying the higher dimensional aspects of our soul and bringing it through into our body while we're fully present and grounding it into the collective, into the earth. We're here to anchor it down. And so this practice that I'll share with you in a little bit was key for me, and is key to do that. And it really helps in being able to, on command, go into transmission of your essence while being embodied. And so when we've learned to trust this voice, we'll naturally take inspired actions that remind others that the shadows are powerless, and will come from a place where we can demonstrate trustworthiness and trusting our inner knowing without hesitation. And the thing about this is that other people that are intuitive will sense it. People are going to have the option to feel safe, to then withdraw their unconscious belief in fear, paving the way for present moment awareness of their timeless essence. And that's what I think the gift we can bring people with presence. So when we embody this work, when we trust our voice, when we go out into the world, people naturally being around us will have an opportunity to pierce through the confine of the grip of the shadow and find truth that they're powerless. And giving someone that space to claim truth in that moment is a deep gift. And it's a gift that I believe we're meant to give those that are willing and ready for that. Now, in order to be aligned with this principle, like I said, we have to face our darkness. We have to leverage our inner guardian's disciplined resolve to observe everything that is keeping us from sharing and facing our fears head on without flinching. So we have to cultivate that inner culture of safety and acceptance so that we can see what's there. And the truth is that trusting ourselves it's never about believing or not believing. It's just a matter of seeing reality unfiltered to know ourselves as we truly are, meaning we are unlimited. In every moment we have connection to the power of grace of God. So there's nothing, they have no fucking power. There's no shadow, there's no fear that has power when we just remember the truth. And so if we can anchor that in, we will be able to, in the moment you're about to leap off the cliff and give your expression from your heart, you will be able to just say, get out the way, I'm here in service. Get out the way, I'm here in service. And so this is where knowing our calling is critical for achieving liberation. And without a wholehearted commitment to serve something larger than our ego, we're always going to have we're going to lack the oomph to stand fully for our true voice. And everything we share is going to be a fraction of our potential. So when we can continually commit to our voice in the service of a higher purpose that includes everyone, we become unstoppable in the face of any obstacle. Okay? So if you haven't already, I invite you to fully commit to that true voice in your highest path of service. Because the truth is, we're going to keep repeating the same lessons over and over and over until we do so. Your true voice is the key to you thriving and prospering while doing what fulfills you most. And then we'll come to the truth and we're going to ask, or maybe you already have asked this, wait, why did I ever settle? Why did I ever believe I was lacking limited? What's possible now that I see truth? So to sum it up, we're going to let's choose our mission and our pathway of service, whatever that is, fully and firmly from a state of calm, urgency, and decisive inner authority. We don't have to know what it is yet fully. We just have to demonstrate our willingness and our surrender, our commitment to higher self, God, source. As we develop and deepen our faith, we'll track the limiting beliefs and things that come up. We'll alchemize them. We'll neutralize the charges. We'll reclaim the power and the essence of the soul that was siphoned off. We'll do that soul embodiment, and then we'll give from inspired action. And doing this will anchor our highest timeline, where the highest vision of our life and our potential and in the present moment will start merging in. And so that's ultimately the essence of this work. I know some people thought, hey man, I thought I was just going to learn to use my voice and I'm going into all of this. But this is where we're at now. This is really, it's really important. And this is one aspect of my life's work. That's why it's coming through is supporting people to connect to the flame of this purpose that we're all part of. And then the other aspect of this work is divine union work, which my wife and I are bringing in codes to really help people attract their true love and have divine unions really anchor in. And so there's one more piece I want to offer to the teaching before we go into the activation, and then before I go into talking about Voice of the Magi. Something that I wrote here, I want to pull it up because I think it's a beautiful insight. Let's see where it is. So there's one more thing that's coming through to share, even before I share this. There is a false voice that I found in myself. I even found it in my partner, in most of my clients. Most people have it. And this is what it says. It says, I've heard this before. I'm committed. I'm already there. I've already done my work. I'm good. We have to be honest if that voice is there to keep us from facing and feeling the deepest level of agony and heartbreak. Look, I'm going to be honest. I'm not there. I've never met anyone who was. So if you think you're there, I invite you to explore if you think you're lying to, if you might be lying to yourself. And I just need to say that now because it may be one person needed to hear that. If that's enough to get that person free from the apathy that comes from believing that, then it's worth it, even if it, annoy people. So ultimately, in the end, we come to that beautiful place where we realize who we are and where we are is where we've always been. And it's like this portal opens up in our throat where our sense of self matches our true voice, and every day becomes magical. Every day becomes more and more joyous. And the spirit of gratitude and sacred innocence, because even though I'm telling you I'm not there yet, I'm telling you that this breakthrough has happened where my voice has become an ascension portal, where my spirit of who I know myself to be and my voice are becoming more and more one. And every day I'm living in the most joyous place that I wanted to live, in my dream home with my dream partner. And I'm not saying this to flaunt. I'm saying this because I face the agony, and I'm facing the agony every day of the heartbreak of humanity. And every day becomes magical. And that's really our inheritance, is to live every day with the spirit of innocence and magic and awe and wonder. And even though we might not be perfect, and even though we might have things we still have to face and work through, by being committed and willing to surrender, we are ready to start giving. So all of you, in your honesty of self and in your commitment and in receiving your vision, you are ready to start giving. Like right now, if you take everything I said to heart and you have the internal alchemical fire inside that pierces through all apathy and numbness, where you roar your commitment, you are ready. So let's go, guys. Let's go. I want to know who is willing to give your gift more fully to the planet than you ever have given before. Please say me or yes in the chat. I want to feel, I want to see who's in. If you're not, it's okay. I just want to see if you're in, because that's the main intention between my heart, is that your heart will be like connecting to your higher self and to your fire and be like, yes, that direct connection. Okay, we got a yes. Yes is coming in. All right, I don't got a yes from everyone. So everyone who's not saying yes, it's okay. I just want to have you be honest with where you are. And this isn't a yes to me. I'm not asking you to say it for me. This is just between you and your higher self. The thing about it is that this kind of commitment, look, success on this path isn't overnight, but it is guaranteed with commitment. And success means greater soul embodiment, and it means that divine will and our heart's desires merge, and we are brought all that we truly desire on a soul level. And our greatest service makes it out to the world. That's success, and that's what leads to inner fulfillment. And that's the outcome of this path. And it's not overnight, but it is guaranteed. And although it takes work, just saying the yes to a new level like this will shift the entire realm and bring in synchronicity and support to you. Because there's a collective spell over humanity that, okay, this is going to be maybe sound a little esoteric, but there's a collective spell over humanity, over the masses, and it is on a mental level, but it's also on a spiritual level, meaning, you know, like there are beings that get together that have purchased a lot of the mainstream media outlets and say, okay, we're going to say this and this and this, and they bring a campaign to kind of trick people into believing something. That's one thing. But then on a spiritual level, there are beings that have a high intelligence and mastery over the spirit plane that are also doing rituals and spells to align with the physical efforts of mainstream media manipulation to limit and make people think they are in a state that they're actually in a spell. So sometimes this spell is hard to break until we are willing to, like I said, bring our staff of power, call upon God's presence. I call upon the Spirit of Christ to break all binds, all spells over me and my ancestors, that I may live sovereign and free. That's the inner guardian that says, no, no, nothing shall cap my connection to God's source. Nothing shall feed me illusion. I will do my part to follow in the great work of serving through divine will. That's it. If you do that and get that, I'm happy. I feel like I've done my work today. That's it. Now, there's one more thing I'll share. Before I met my wife, I thought that I was more advanced than I was, meaning I thought I had done more work than I did because, I had a successful career teaching. You know, uh, I have all these abilities. I have a mastery in facilitating healing, blah, blah, blah. My life looks like it's really together. But when I met my wife, she has a very specific skill set of emotional mastery of bringing up a void of pain and helping to merge the pain body with the higher dimensional presence of God. I hadn't done the deeper emotional work to heal my voids, meaning an aspect of my inner child that was still wounded because of the pain, didn't allow the presence of God into that pain. And therefore, when we don't do that, that part will pull validation and soothing externally. Our voice cannot be free to be given consistently unless we become immune to unconscious validation seeking. And I had to admit it was still happening, that I was still getting something from the praises of others. My little inner child who felt so hurt was still feeling boosted by the external world, still wanted something. And that's where we have to go deeper into really finding that place. Now, someone just wrote, she's feeling and seeing the part of her inner child that does not want to connect with God. Now, that's some bravery right there to see that, to really go in and have the self-awareness to see where aspects of us either have been conditioned through punishment to fear God because religions and parents were connected to false gods that were punishing. The true God isn't punishing and never withholds love. There might be some approval withheld so we learn the lesson, but we're never punished in the way that the false gods out there, have us be. So parts of us might have separated and turned their back on God because we haven't felt worthy, because we think we're going to get punished, or a variety of other reasons. We need to go into all these aspects so we can turn and face the presence of God's source and invite that embrace into our deepest pain and reassure these parts of our inner children and our wounded aspects that it's safe to do so. And then as we are held in that space, we can invite in the Holy Mother and Holy Father in to rehabilitate these aspects until they're so integrated into our heart. And that's the power of transmutation and filling our voids with the presence of God. And then we can actually speak and serve from a new level. So we don't have to be perfect in this, and we don't have to judge ourselves. But when we become a master at catching these shadow aspects, we can neutrally then begin to work with them. Now, I want to say one last thing, because it comes through, is that I held myself back for a long time by thinking I needed. Remember, I told you the story of my inner child having to martyr or choosing to martyr himself for the parent that was suicidal. For a long time, I thought that I needed her to hear my story, my voice, and my experience so that I could finally forgive and be free from it and heal and grow up. Guess what? That's a lie. I mean, I still did. I still wrote out everything I needed to share with her, and it felt good on some level, but it didn't do it because that's still coming from a place of lack. It's still coming from the place of I need someone to hear me for me to feel better. What I had to do is go in and be so heard by Holy Father and Holy Mother that I let my parents off the hook. I don't need them to hear me. I don't need them to acknowledge it. And all of the people that have betrayed me, I don't need them to apologize or see how they hurt me. And I don't need anything from anyone. even though, and this is another thing, and I'll go into it. So before I go into that, I want to say that I had to come to the place where the wounded aspect had to let go of the attachment to the story and getting something externally. And that's what holds up so many people unconsciously. They're holding on. We have to fill our own voids. Then from that place of wholeness, we might still be guided to, okay, well, you're still going to speak your truth to that person, but you're going to speak from this place. That, and therefore, when you speak it, it will truly set you free. Instead of hook them into a dance of expectation or guilt tripping or whatever. And so with that said, we have to forgive all and every force that has ever hurt us thoroughly and completely, and take responsibility for our inner wholeness. And then, like what I said is, sourcing from God, source, also means that we have to trust that all the love we could ever want, all the abundance we could ever want, it doesn't actually come from other people or external. It might look like, oh, you know, our clients are giving us money, or our partners giving us love, but those are external effects of the inner cause of the true source. So when we can really anchor that truth and know that the fulfillment of our being lies in the revelation that our source indwelling within us provides everything, and to connect to that truth and let it flow through us, it fills us to overflowing, so we don't unconsciously pull on people, and where we don't develop codependent relationships. Now, it's normal, like there was a time in my relationship with my wife where I realized that a part of my inner child was starting to pull on her to hear him. He wanted to be heard because I wasn't heard as a child. And I had to come to the place of, wait, actually, I don't need her to hear me. I don't need her to hear me. And what I chose to do is I chose to isolate myself in the office and put a bed into the office until I came to the point where I didn't need her to hear me. Where I did, and I did that work, and then it allowed us to come closer together. And then she did hear me, which felt good, but I didn't need it anymore. And so we have to strip these codependencies and come into a way of overflow. And that's the key to lasting fulfillment, is coming from and building that place. And so with that said, I want to go into a meditation and an activation. And I'm going to invite everyone to get into a comfortable place. And to all you champions that have been here, you know, for now 90 minutes, thank you for hanging in there. I know it's a lot of information. And some of you probably are like, oh no, I'm with you. So I'm with you too. Beloved brothers and sisters, allies, I am with you here in this moment. I invite you to close your eyes as we create a sacred alchemical space, as we call upon our higher self to be fully present, to be connected to the earth, to be connected to the highest plane of source, to breathe that energy into our hearts. As we open our hearts, we create a platform of light below us, a temple of light surrounding everyone who is here now or listening to the recording. Here in the sacred temple, we have the sacred temple, and we call upon this pillar of light from the heart of God to the heart of the earth. We call upon Holy Father, Holy Mother, guardians, the true guardians that work through the true living God, the highest presence of love and truth that is for our highest and best to be present. And I'm going to ask everyone that gives me, God's source, the guardians, permission to work on you on all levels for your highest and best today in this mini quantum healing activation. I invite you to say yes out loud now. And if you give yourself permission to receive what you're here to receive today for your highest and best, and to release what you're here to release for your highest and best, I invite you to say yes. We ask all interferences, trackers, remote viewers be removed from this temple space in everyone's field now. And so we will begin with the soul voice meditation, level 1 of the meditation. And to do so, as you bring your energy into your body, make the intention from your heart to anchor in your soul voice into your body. And call upon now your higher self to anchor in the higher dimensional soul voice into your body, and visualize now from about 12 feet above your crown, just with your imagination, visualize this beautiful ball of light descending. This is the energy of your soul voice, and higher blueprints that want to anchor in you, that contain also your mission, purpose, the next levels of your mission. And that ball of light is descending down 10 feet above your head, 8 feet above your head, 6 feet above your head, 4 feet above your head, 2 feet above your head, 6 inches above your head, activating that soul star, that place, that higher dimensional solar star activation chakra place, where you become a downstepper of higher dimensional wisdom and energy. And letting that ball of light now descend down from that place, down into your crown, through your crown into your pineal gland in the middle of your brain. And as that ball of light enters into the middle of your brain and your pineal gland, we're asking for the activation of the pineal center and the clearing about of any energetic debris, harnesses, implants, shocks, and any other bindings energetically, multidimensionally, on all levels for your highest and best. If this resonates, say yes now. And do your best to just visualize beautiful golden light entering from your crown into your pineal gland, just saying yes and open and allow yourself to receive. We ask that the vision that your higher self, God, God Source, has for you, for your mission, your purpose, and the next phase of your life be activated within your pineal gland, that you may receive the vision and the insights and be able to receive, articulate, transcode all of the information coming to you now for your highest and best. If this resonates, say yes. And the beautiful thing is that our personal purpose blueprints, pathways of service, are connected to a wider tapestry of infinite intelligence, where when we are attuned and connected, we work in sync, in synarchy together. And so let's allow this ball of light to descend down through our pineal gland, down into our throat, down into our high heart, down into our heart, down into our solar plexus, and down into our lower dantian, about 1.5 inches below your belly button, in the middle of your being, is that womb center, that lower dantian, the hara. Breathe into that place, feel this ball of light activating. On the inhale, breathe into the ball of light within the middle of your dantian, in the middle of your body there, below your belly button. On the exhale, expand the awareness out 360 degrees. Do this for a few breaths. Allowing the wisdom of the pineal gland and the wisdom of your soul blueprint and your soul voice to anchor into your lower dantian, allowing that to ground down your feet all the way into your earth star chakra, about 6 inches below into the earth. Connecting to the earth, finding your partnership with the earth, where your highest timeline and the highest timeline for the earth are connected, where you are sharing with earth your sacred blueprint for being here, and you are aligning with her to fulfill your pathway of service. Allowing that ball of light to rise up through your lower dantian, up through your solar plexus, and up into your heart. As you open your heart and allowing the wisdom of the pineal gland and the wisdom of your womb, hara, lower dantian, to merge in your heart now. Breathing and allowing that to unlock that secret gateway in your heart where your soul and God's source meet. And as your soul meets with source, finding that beautiful willingness of your commitment, I'm willing to serve thy will, to fulfill my role, to serve at my highest potential in a way that is most fulfilling for me. In alignment with your divine will, I surrender and I receive. Allow that intention to come from your heart, to receive the mantle of your destiny path, of your service, your purpose. And we're bringing in the guardians to do a outer level clearing and a clearing of whatever is for the highest and best to clear today. Meaning we are clearing outer level curses, spells, hexes, judgments, implants, suppressions on the voice, overlays on the voice, and any other bindings that keep the wisdom and purpose of the soul from rising and expressing through the voice center. We ask for this clearing for everyone here for their highest and best, and if this resonates, say yes. And I'm going to invite everyone to support this by stating the decree out loud. And if this resonates, I invite you to repeat after me. I, and your full name, hereby choose, under natural law, to break all the vows, contracts, spells, curses, and bindings that block my voice, block my soul's embodiment, and block my true pathway of service across all time, space, and dimension. It is commanded that this is done now for all aspects of my being and my ancestors. Thank you, and so it is. We ask that the pathway of everyone's highest timeline may be illuminated, that the immediate obstacles be removed, so that everyone may receive clarity of the next action steps they're meant to take to reach their highest potential and to fulfill their soul's calling. We ask that all that has been done today in this activation be grounded down through all levels and all layers and all aspects. May this work be completed and sealed across all timelines in the field. And may everyone receive whatever they're meant to receive now, directly from their own higher self, God. Now we create a minute of silence to receive whatever else is coming to us in this moment, specifically for us. May all the decrees and prayers be heard, and may this work be anchored and sealed. Thank you, and so it is. Grounding, grounding down back into your body, taking your time. You can keep your eyes closed for another minute if you'd like, just to ground it all in and feeling energy come back to you. Feeling energy that may have been locked in unconsciously in some multidimensional realm. Your energy is being brought back to you, washed clean. Your soul essence, your power, your soul voice is coming back to you. Back, washed clean, put in the right place within you. Your energy is coming back in. You're getting filled up. You're being fueled. You're being prepared. You're being dusted off. You're being prepared for the next phase of your journey, whatever that is. You always have the free will to choose your pathway. And when you align your free will with that divine will, and you align your personal identity with your soul identity, you align your heart and mind and your lower dantian together, your voice with your soul voice. Here we go. Let's bring that alignment. Let's pave the pathway for ourselves, and let's take those steps. I'm going to invite you, when you feel ready, to open your eyes. This mini quantum healing and activation is now complete. So we're going to just create a couple minutes break. And for everyone that wants to hear more about Voice of the Magi, which is an 8-week course where we go through a powerful process, you can recoup your energy and stay on, and I'll share more information. You can ask questions. For those that feel complete for today, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for coming. I extend my love to you. I extend my heart to you. I'm so excited for what you're here to bring to this planet. And I am an ally, and I'm always here. And you can reach out to me at DivineUnionAlchemy@gmail.com. I'll put it in the chat for people. Anytime. Or on Facebook. Just know that I'm here. I care about you. I love you. Go out there and rock it. Be honest with yourself and keep bringing your commitment to create a space of safety for your true voice to emerge. I was sharing, so a couple of you weren't able to make it to the first segment, so you can go back if you're called and listen to the replay. But one of the main things I was sharing is that our commitment to know our true voice and serve from that place has to be stronger than the most powerful fear and dark forces in this universe, for us to break through the trickeries and shadows externally and internally that get developed. And so part of my intensity or confrontation earlier was to activate that willingness and also to scare away people that don't have the courage or willingness to reach their full soul embodiment. And I think there's a little bit of sadness in me that so much of humanity still, and so many people, even in our spiritual communities, want to stay in a bubble of love and light and comfort and bypass the unfortunate reality that there is some inner darkness to face in order to get really congruent and authentic in our service. The courage to face and feel will lead us to absolute freedom. And so with that said, I just want to go into the work of Voice of the Magi and what it is for those that are interested. Voice of the Magi is an 8-week process that is a culmination of many trainings I've done over a decade that culminated in a specific blueprint of voice, empowerment, liberation, soul embodiment. And it came to me in a structure that evolved. So the structure, if you've seen my posts on Facebook, each week there's something different. We'll understand streaming and coding frequency. But the most important thing, and I can go into the details if you want, but the most important thing that this is about working with freeing all layers and levels to the inner voice feeling safe. Now, in order for us to create an inner place of safety, we need to create that inner structure that I spoke about in this course, in the free class that I just taught. And to develop that, there's a sequence of architectures that we anchor and a sequence of healings and clearings that we do to resolve inner child level, parental level, ancestral level, and collective level, and the myriad of distortions that come from these controlling forces that have a strange impact and effect on limiting our capacity to be fully embodied. And so when we get to the point of spiritual sovereignty, where we can stand in the face of any force, whether an internal shadow aspect or fear, or an external threat, or someone else's judgment, and we can stand in the center, the unmovable center of our commitment to serve and our feeling of safety and connection. That's what we are cultivating as guardians here. And as we cultivate that, then we want to develop the flow state capacity where we take the meditation I just shared with you and we take it to the next level of bridging up into the high heart and into the throat. And then we do a practice of streaming. And as we develop our ability to stream, we deepen the multidimensional capacity to embody more of our higher dimensional voice. Some people might be accessing their 6D soul voice, but they have a block to another access of their monadic or avatar level voice, meaning we're going to go higher and braiding in new activation, new aspects of our being into a congruent, individuated soul embodiment. So we're going to pierce higher than we've pierced before and integrate more by clearing space and then doing the activations. And then we're going to practice together. So every call that we'll have, there's 8 of them. There'll be the teaching, there'll be the healings and breakthrough, there'll be the activation, and then there's going to be the practice for those that want to. We'll have a little segment where we can practice our voice. I'll play piano for spoken word, or we'll have some freestyle opportunity, and it's not required, but it's invited. And then there will be things to do during the week for the next week. And we'll go into all the psychic defense protocols that are needed to come into that safety. We'll go into advanced flow state training, and then we'll go into deepening everyone's specific mission, meaning there is specifically something you're meant to give to the world. So the people that have shown up so far for this course, and there's a few spots left, these are people that, for the most part, all of them but one, really want to bring their work to the world. So in a new way. So we're going to talk about how to stream the structure for your work. So if one of my signatures is Voice of the Magi, the other is Divine Union Alchemy, and we stream the structures for these courses. What is your work? Is it a course? Is it a poem? Is it a book? Is it an album? Is it a system for a business? Whatever it is that your soul wants to stream as your unique codex, we're going to be creating infrastructure to articulate that and ground that in. And I'll be tracking individually everyone as well in the course who wants to receive my support in bringing their work to the world. And so as we go into the purpose alignment, we'll go into causal level blockage removal. We'll have to go into the ancestral and soul level imprints that are often unhidden, that on some level hold back the soul voice expression. And so on a multi-dimension, from a quantum healer's perspective, there can be so much going on. There can be leftover implants, artifacts, portals, devices, siphons, cords, traps, harnesses, cages, tags, symbols, sigils, curses, spells, agreements, etc. And the thing about this is that certain things can only be cleared in a systematic protocol, meaning we have to address this, 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 and this before we get to this. And so I don't know when I start the training exactly what that will look like, but I have a sense, and then I open my mind in the healing processes to do exactly what the individuals and the collective needs to move through, so we together can all have a breakthrough. And every time I teach this course, I also break through something that was holding back, gets lifted as well. And then we're going to go into voice of the healer, sacred warrior. We'll go into how to do decrees to command space. And for those that want to step into more of a healer, a healing facilitator space, we'll go into some of the commands and an intro into that work, and into hierogamic union work as well, meaning bridging the masculine and feminine aspects of our being, so we can cultivate a greater wholeness within. And so ultimately, this is about supporting whatever is the fast track for your soul's initiation into greater embodiment to use your voice in the world more. And what I share with people is that, you know, this work comes from so much experience in working on myself and others, and that's why I feel it's very helpful, is because you can do this work on your own with your commitment. Actually, this work is only for those that get the guidance from their higher self. I'm not trying to pressure anyone or sell anyone on this. If you get that yes, then we should have a conversation. But the main thing I tell people is that your yes has to be to God for your path. And if that yes leads you to this work, then beautiful. You can do this work on your own or find other people. The benefit of going through Voice of the Magi is that it's a efficient quantum leap. And that's the benefit of going through this, is that I've packed so much into this that just moves a being into a evolutionary quickening to reach that. And it's only for people who feel full yes. And so with that said, there's one more thing I wanted to say, is that there is a place of surrender, trust, commitment, and willingness to embody your inner authority in the world that we're going to cultivate, so that you can speak from divine authority and align it to your highest service for the good of all. And so that's where I really, when I screen for this course, I really want to make sure that everyone's in highest service, committed to the highest service, and willing to always surrender to know that the power that is bestowed upon them is for the highest good of the greater all. I want to share that this experience is over 8 weeks. It begins on Tuesday, June 1st, at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 2.5 to 3 hours each class. They will be recorded. You don't have to attend live. Every class is. If you have a question about the details about the course, about pricing, about whether it's right for you, and to tune in first to your heart. And if you get a yes, reach out to me, and then we're going to have a conversation. And in that conversation, I'll be able to help you track what's still in the field on a personal, ancestral, and causal level. And then if it really feels it's right for you, I'm going to share with you all the details of the course. And I have a way for it to work for anyone that's really committed and wanting to do that. So with that said, I want to leave it open to reach out to me on Facebook. Send me an email to DivineUnionAlchemy@gmail.com. So to complete this, I just want to say thank you, everyone. In your heart of hearts, I extend my love to you. I extend an open place to reach out to me when you're guided at any time, and to bring the spirit of willingness directly to your higher self to move forward. We're all in this together, and we're going to anchor a pathway for thriving on this planet no matter what else is happening. I love you all, bless you, and talk to some of you soon. Aloha.